Okay, so there's a lot of prefaces to this video that I'm going to share. It is November the 8th and Friday, November the 8th, 24, and I'll be going to a funeral on Sunday, and that's the funeral I refer to in the main video. Turned out I wasn't going to share that video because after I filmed it, I realized it might upset people that didn't have as good of experience with death as I've had in my life. But a good friend of mine last night shared with me a podcast. He himself is grieving. Shared with me a podcast by Anderson Cooper. And if you don't know who Anderson Cooper is, he is a CNN correspondent. Not more importantly, he's the son of Gloria Vanderbilt, but also, in my opinion, he's a wonderful human being, and he has suffered profound loss in his own life. I am grieving, but I can't say that I've suffered from profound grief in my life. That said, I know of Anderson and his dealing with of grief because of an interview he did with Stephen Colbert in 2018, I believe, very soon after Anderson's mom died. And anyway, if you ever get a chance to watch that interview with Stephen, it really reframed how I look at grief, and it's what's gotten me through the last over 6 months now, and it prepared me for what has happened in the last 6 months. And if you ever get a chance to listen to the podcast, I'm just starting it now. I'm on to the second episode, which is an interview with Colbert 2 years after the initial interview, and it's called "All There Is That All There Is." Anyway, so I filmed this video that you're going to see if you want to watch it while visiting my mom, and knowing that I'll be going to this funeral that I'm attending on Sunday. And one of those things in the podcast interview with Stephen, which I'm halfway through, mentions, they talk about how grief is, if you can experience grief, you're fortunate, because that means you've lived long enough to experience this. And also, if you are part of that group that has experienced grief, you are in a group of people that may or may not want to talk about things, but it's such a huge group of people, and I think we're doing a disservice to society, to the human experience, by not talking about it. So that's the reason why I'm sharing this video of me visiting my mom, is because everyone suffers differently. Everyone has a different experience, but I would be doing a disservice by not sharing that story, or whatever you want to call what I'm doing at my mom's resting place, my mom and my father's resting place. Thanks for watching. So when you're my age, 53, and you're post-middle-aged, you tend to have a preoccupation with death, because every day that goes by, it gets closer to your own reality, and more importantly, it's not only your mortality, but the people close to you. And my mom passed away a little over 6 months ago, just a little bit over 6 months ago, and I was reminded this morning of how fresh that was in my mind, because a good friend, his mother passed away this morning in her sleep, which, thank goodness, that happened. And to that, what I want to talk about again is death, and it's a heavy topic, but it needs to be talked about because I think it needs to be normalized. And to that, I think with death, and again, someone my age, there's so much anxiety because this great unknown, and it, like I said, every day that clicks by, death becomes closer and closer, closer to your reality, if it's not already part of your reality. If you're fortunate enough to not let it be part of your reality by this point, it will be. And to that, like this morning, my friend's mother passed away in her sleep, and it reminded me of being there for my mom. And this was something, this is where the anxiety part, I've been incredibly fortunate with my own family, immediate family. My father and my mother, they were able to pass with someone by their side, if not the entire family, someone else by their side, even in the middle of the night. And in my mom's case, it was the middle of the night. And this is the thing, is when you're preoccupied with death, you think about, it's the unknown. It's the anxiety is because of the unknown. And I have to say again, I've been so lucky with it that if I had an irrational fear of death, and it's understandable in my case, when I was 14, a very good friend of mine, who we drifted apart over the last couple years of his life, he took his own life, and more horrifically, his family found him. And that, like, so that's always weighed in my mind, like, what is it like to be and have that happen to you, dealing with death like that close. I would have preferred to find my friend like that than have anyone else bear that kind of responsibility, or and I think of it as a responsibility. And to that, that's why I really wanted to be there for my mom when she passed, because she was in hospice, and not knowing very much about what that whole process is about, and more importantly, what anticipated death is like. I took notes really quick. I learned as quickly as possible, and I had a sixth sense from instinct, intuition, and more importantly, through just what was explained to me, the process of death, that my mom was going to pass probably that night. And I didn't want my family, anyone in my family, to bear that kind of weight, that kind of having to deal with that kind of responsibility, that kind of trauma. And it's one of these things where maybe now I just thought about it, like when it happened to my friend June, like it was one of these things, like I wish I had found him. I wish I had been the one there, so no one else would have to deal with that, because I felt like I could bear that weight. And I wanted to do that for my family. I wanted to do that for my mom. I wanted to do it for myself. And so, like, this is the thing about death and anxiety of death is, and everyone's situation is different. I have been fortunate, but you base your anxieties on anecdotes. You base your anxieties on irrational fears. You base your anxiety on known knowns. And then you base your anxiety on, and you let your anxieties go rampant on unknown unknowns. And that's what I want to tell people is, you know, I'm lucky my friend Frank, someone was there with his mother by her side when she passed. I don't know the exact details right now, but because it was so early, it was just this morning. And, you know, just death, it's part of life. And I was telling someone today that I don't want to say always, I view grief as a gift. And I didn't have to experience that much grief in my life on that kind of profound level, and until, you know, fairly recently. And, you know, when I got on the path, you know, over a decade ago, almost 2 decades ago, that was a lot of pain. But just in the last, since 2015, my father passing and my mother passing, I really do look at grief as a gift, because it reminds you how much you have the capacity to love, how much you have the capacity to appreciate the person when they were here, and it's gratitude, and it's a gift, because grief reminds you that you're human, that you have these emotions, and that it's not a curse, it's not a negative thing, it's all part of life. And that's why when I thought of my immediate experience of death, it's all been a good experience. And then again, it's not for everyone. But like I look at a lot of things in life, you gotta try to take the positive out of things, because you don't want to focus on the negative aspects, because then it just kind of sours the whole experience. And what can you learn from it? What can you take from the experience on other facets of your life? And so to that, I went to go visit my mom and my dad today, and they're behind me now. I don't know if it's inappropriate to have them in the background, but it kind of puts things in perspective, because you know, I miss them, but I know that they're in a good place. This will be my first Thanksgiving since it's October 28th, the first Thanksgiving without both of them. And food was always a big part of my mom's life, our life together. And it'll be tough to not have her around the family for that. And so, you know, it's been just over 6 months, and I haven't had time to grieve. And I look at grief also that comes in waves. And right now it's been like little cascades in a bay, and they're not large waves, and they're not, definitely haven't been tsunamis yet, but they'll come. And but again, look at grief as a gift. At least I try to. I'm not trying to tell you what to do. What I try to do is look at grief as a gift, and as a reminder of your capacity to love and appreciate those people that you do love in your life. Thanks for watching.